Welcome to the Bloom Effect. I'm your host, Cassie Kellner, former chairside assistant turned team coach and founder of Everbloom. This podcast is all about the real stuff, honest combos, leadership lessons, and the heart behind thriving orthodontic teams. If you're ready to grow, lead, and bloom, let's dive in. Welcome to the Bloom Effect. I'm your host, Cassie Kellner, and I have a special treat for you today. I am so excited. Kayla, thank you so much for joining me.
Of course. I'm so happy to be here.
I cannot wait. So Kayla, I ask everyone this. Who is Kayla?
Yeah. So I'm Kayla Hallen, and I have been in the ortho world since 2010, which crazy to think that's like 15 years ago now.
I know,
in
right?
my mind, it's like still 2016.
I know, same.
And I joined the ortho industry off of like a random job right out of college. It was like a Craigslist job for
Same.
answering your phone at the front desk. And I was like, sure, why not? It was in a really nice suburb of Nashville. And I was like, sure, that sounds fun. Like, how hard can answering phones be? And so I joined that office, and I had like no desire to be in the ortho industry. I had no like passion for teeth. I did not see this being my career.
This was a Craigslist ad.
This was a Craigslist ad.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I do not recommend doing
anymore. That just ages us though, because that was the only way.
Yeah, for sure.
Wild.
Which is crazy now. Yeah, absolutely not. So, so I joined answering phones at a front desk at an office, and I have been in the ortho industry since. I've joke and say that I've done everything in an office except touch the teeth. I placed separators one time, and I was like, ew, gross. That's not for me.
Yeah, that's not for me. Yeah. Well, separators, my gosh.
Front of house in it. I've worked in 4 different settings of ortho offices, different sizes, different doctors, different personalities, all of it. So I have seen almost everything there is to see. So that's kind of my background. And personally, I'm a mom of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids, which is equally as crazy to accepting a job on Craigslist.
Totally.
And it's great. It's wonderful. It's crazy. It's beautiful. It's multitasking all day, every day, 24/7. Me and my husband, we live right outside of Chicago, so we get all 4 beautiful seasons.
Oh yes, I love it.
And I love it. But yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
You made so we met. Oh my gosh, Kayla, I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you. It's probably been like 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah, it had to be. I mean, probably more than that. It was probably closer to like 10. It was probably 2016, 2017.
Yeah. Yes. So we met. You were working in an orthodontic practice. Mm-hmm. I was consulting at the time.
Yeah.
But since then, you have made a massive career shift.
I have. Yeah.
So you've gone from being in the practice to now living more in a slightly corporate world, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So in what year is it now? In 2023, so about 2.5 years ago, I made a big transition from working within private practices all my career to moving to the other side of the ortho industry, kind of in a corporate structure. So now I work for Neon Canvas. It's a digital marketing agency. And that shift was kind of a twofold thing. You know, I did the big mistake not big mistake, but I believed strongly in things that I had learned from you and other professionals on cross-training and empowering your team members. And I hit a point, I had been a practice manager, and I hit a point and I was like, there are people here who can do this job without me. Like I have empowered them, I've trained them. And I was looking for some sort of growth, some kind of shift. And so through a lot of conversation with the doctor I was working for at the time and with the doctor that I had worked for previously, we set up this shift for me to transition out of private practice and over into the corporate structure of Ortho, kind of shifting sides, which was a big mindset shift, in
Oh,
in private
dramatic.
practice, I was making a lot of decisions and I had to make them often quickly because they were either patient facing or staff situational. So I had to make a lot of decisions quickly. A lot of emotions were involved with those decisions. And
Yeah.
now that I'm on the corporate side of things, it's a lot of structure, a lot of data, a lot of decision making, not so quickly, I
Yeah.
guess. So,
Yes. Yeah.
we had to learn how to slow down, zoom out, look at a full pipeline of scenarios, how every department connects. And, I like to say I'm a big doer. If you give me a task, like I'm going to get it done as quickly
Yeah.
and efficiently and as perfectly as possible.
Right.
And that works great when you're in an office and you have patients and you have appointments and you have systems and you just got to get the stuff done, to
Yeah.
moving over to a strategist. So I had to start thinking about scale and repeatability. And the biggest thing that I have had to learn is how to influence offices, how to influence other practice managers, other treatment coordinators, other people without actually being boots on the ground, without actually
Yeah.
being in the office, which has been really cool for me. And figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and navigating all of that. So it's been
Yeah.
really
I can relate to that, as you know, on so many levels. I mean, I started in a practice. I
fun.
did work in the mouth, so we're opposite in that. And
Peanut
so,
butter and jelly.
that's right, peanut butter jelly. That's right. But I feel like I'm going to be really candid here. I think that there's a lot of people out there who are like consulting, coaching, jumping over to an orthodontic company, as opposed to being in the practice is like the goal, right? Which is really interesting because, I, again, super candid, it's way harder than it looks.
Yeah.
It's a completely like you that is such a good point, Kayla. Like it is a completely different mindset that you have to have, and it's more business focused, and the other is more team and patient focused. Like you do a massive leap, and I know so many people who have made that leap, and also plenty of people who are like, oh my gosh, I really miss being in the practice. I really miss working in the mouth. I really miss the fulfillment that you get from those patients every single day. And, so I would say, one, it's not for everyone. I think people think it's like this shiny thing. And for some people, for me, it was like this shiny, wonderful, beautiful thing. And I wouldn't change this for the world, but I certainly needed all of the experience in the ortho practice, boots on the ground, like in the trenches of the chaos, to be able to do what I do now.
Yeah.
But it's a massive, massive mindset shift.
Yeah. And I think a big part of, what you're doing and what I'm trying to do is we can be empathetic with the teams that we're working with, which I think is the biggest thing. Once you make your client or make your patient or make whoever you're working with a human, which I think is a big struggle for a lot of people. But once you humanize it and you're like, I have been where you have been, I have sat chairside and not known what the next right step to take. I have answered that new patient phone call and it has been a really difficult phone call to take. But like, here's what I did and here's how I got through it, not how someone tells us to get through it. So being able to relate personally and just an empathetic approach to people through my experience of being in offices has been so valuable.
Being at the 3 o'clock when the school bus shows up and it's so chaotic, or the summers can get crazy. So you don't want to do a crazy massive change, or if you do, you have to roll it out. To know these things, I don't know. I think you really have to understand them. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it makes it so much easier to be able to roll out, for me, at least as a coach, to be able to roll out to teams and go, hey guys, this is what's going to happen. Change management is hard. Here's how we're going to do it. It's not going to happen overnight. Right.
Yeah. Yep. Being able to hold their hand from experience.
Yeah. Okay. So I love this concept that you talk about, this big sister concept, right? Where there's like a dynamic between the doctor and the team. I
Yeah.
just released some content on social that was like, hey, let's not forget about your office managers, talk to me about this big sister approach that you have. I think it's so great.
Yeah. So I love that you said, let's not forget about office managers, because it is like leadership can be isolating. And I
Oh,
think that was a big change for me when I became an office manager. I realized that. But then once I shifted my perspective and I kind of discovered my role as being a big sister in the office dynamic between the doctor and the team. So pretty much how I looked at that is I bridged the gap between the doctor and the team. So I wasn't the parent, but I was like the trusted older sibling.
sure.
So coworkers, the team, they would come to me with stuff, and I was close enough to understand the team challenges, but I was mature and experienced enough to be able to bring that to the doctor.
Mm,
Um, in a way that wasn't emotionally charged or didn't come across as everyone complaining, but I was able to structure things in a way, and then I was able to also turn around to the team and hold them accountable
yeah.
for what was needed of them. So in day-to-day practice, holding that role as the big sister, checking in emotionally with the team, pushing them towards performance, and goals. It's the quiet leadership, reading the
Yeah.
room,
Yep.
anticipating issues, and most importantly, advocating both ways, advocating for the
Yeah.
doctor to the team while also advocating for the team to the doctor. And someone needs to do that role. And a big sister, knows when to encourage, but knows when to correct, when to step
Yeah.
in, and really like when to be a buffer. So I grew up with a big sister, and she was
Same.
the best buffer for me. So I wanted to take that. And, it has to do a lot with the doctor's personality, with who you're working with, team dynamics, but just being able to know that, like, hey, my role here is to buffer and to bridge a gap, not to sit here and scrutinize or
Yeah.
to get caught up in the emotions of the team,
Yes.
but to be able to figure out how both can work and be that
Yeah.
person. And it works. I loved it. I loved that role. So,
So I feel like too, I often call the office manager or director of operations, whatever title these people have, right, is the middle manager. It's
mhm,
probably the hardest position in the practice because you have to be an advocate for the team and you have to be an advocate for the doctor. And
100%
you may not agree with what both sides are
either of
saying.
them. Yeah.
And so you have to put out the fires, you have to give the support, you have to hold the emotion. And I say this often, so I'm so glad you said this, but leadership is lonely.
Mhm.
It is lonely, especially when you first get into that position, or if you haven't been in that position in your practice and you get promoted to that position.
Yes.
Having to shift the friendships
That
over to a management and have uncomfortable conversations with somebody you just went to dinner with.
yeah. That I don't think a lot of doctors realize that when they're doing internal promotions for their team. They're like, I just gave you a promotion. I just gave you a raise. Like everything should be
Great.
roses and wonderful for you. But I don't think they realize um, the shift that takes place there of like, hey, I might not be able to go to dinner afterwards with the team anymore because I might hear things or know things that I shouldn't. So I might have to like
Yeah.
remove myself from situations,
Yeah.
and you have to constantly be on. You have to, the text messages, the group chats, all of that. You have to like kind of reevaluate where you fall into those things.
Yeah.
And that was tough. And yeah, having those tough conversations and, you're like, I don't want to sit here and tell you that you can't be late again, but like, it's my job. You can't be late
Yeah.
again. And I'm
Yes.
the one who's going to have
Yes.
to do something about it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, those relational shifts of like, all of a sudden you were one with everybody and now
Mhm.
you're the one who has to do all of that. And doctors sometimes don't realize that
No.
hard thing to
And
do.
and how could they, right? I mean, they've
Yeah.
not been in that position. They were the leader the minute they stepped their foot in that practice. And
Mhm.
so, I think that that's a massive transition that we really need to focus on in this industry and that
Yeah.
people should know. Because oftentimes I say, like, not everyone's cut out for management. Not everyone's cut out for leadership. And
Yeah.
like, that's okay.
Yeah. It's one thing to like be a leader or have a high powering role, but to be able to manage people, like those are two separate things. Like you can handle
Oh,
those high level reports and those high level tasks all day long. But to be able to lead a team, and I think a lot of people think that being an office manager is someone who can handle those high level tasks. And it's like, it is so much more. You have to be a leader of people, which
you
takes a whole
do.
other skill set than just being really good at
Yeah,
tasks.
and you have to do it on both sides. And I'm going to leave this just this subject with this. I feel like you kind of have to fake it. So
Oh.
if you don't agree, right, with
Mhm.
what is going on with the team, maybe the team is overreacting and
Mhm.
whatever it is, or the doctor is putting in a new protocol or policy and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't think we should be doing this right now, or I'm not sure about this, but it's not your practice. You're the middle manager.
Mhm.
You're supporting both sides. You have to go in with that cheerleader, like, hey guys, we got this.
Yeah.
Right? We got this. We can do this, even though maybe in the back of your mind, you're like, this might be a hot mess, but we're going
Oh,
to try it.
for sure. It's being the thermostat and that instead of the thermometer. Like you are setting the
Oh,
temperature
so good.
for that team. So like you might get some news and you're like, "Oh, that is going to be icy, but I'm going to go in there and make it warm and fuzzy and I'm going to
Yep.
set the temperature for how this goes instead of reacting to how they are."
Yeah. It's delivery, it's tone,
Mhm.
it's emotional intelligence. Oh my gosh, don't even get me started. It's knowing how to deliver the message. It's knowing how to read the room. It's knowing how to deliver the message to certain individuals. Everyone is different. Some
Yep.
individuals you could deliver the message just so black and white, and others you're like, okay, this individual tends to cry. There's a lot of tears here, right? And I have to deliver this in a way that will come through, but also not ruin the rest of their month.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
It's an art. That is an art. I, the people part is an art, truly.
Yeah. And you're never done learning that one.
No. Oh
You're
my
always
gosh.
discovering new ways to do
No.
it.
Okay. So some non negotiable systems. I love this. For a practice to truly function well,
Mhm.
being from the office management, and then we're going to get into a little bit of marketing because that's what you're doing, and you are brilliant in marketing. So, non negotiable systems that like really help a practice function. What happens when these things work? What happens when these things start to break down? Let's
Yeah.
talk through it a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, you are aware of this, but that was like my big thing when I was an office manager. I was like, we need to make systems. There
Mhm.
wasn't a ton in place. It was years ago. So
Yeah.
the technology wasn't where it is at today. As technology was rolling out, I was like, we need to implement systems. And one thing that I found quickly is like, man, when systems work, it is so noticeable. But when systems break down, it breeds a lot of emotions, frustration, misalignment, often finger pointing.
Oh,
The
yeah.
team starts reacting instead of leading, and you can kind of feel that chaos immediately. And one thing I learned when trying to set up systems for practices, and even today when I work with practices, systems have to be set up simply. They cannot be
Mm.
set up for the exceptions to the rules. And I often
Yes.
find
Oh,
that
say it again, Kayla.
often systems cannot be set up for the exceptions to the rules. And
Yes.
so like let's financial protocols. Every office should have very clear guidelines of financial protocols from payment arrangements to insurance follow-ups. So, they both financial protocols protect the patient experience and the bottom line. If you have good financial protocols in place, that new patient consultation is going to go seamlessly when you're explaining financials. If you have them in place when you're training a new financial coordinator, your bottom line isn't going to be all over the place for 6 months while they figure it out because of these protocols. But you can't set up your protocols based on what if both parents have insurance, or what if there's this, or what if there's that? It's once you start complicating things, your systems are trash pretty much. So, some non-negotiables that I feel like each practice should have in place are really 3 systems. And I don't care about the nitty-gritty, but you need to have a scheduling system in place. Your schedule needs to be optimized. If everything falls apart with your schedule, patients aren't happy, team morale drops, production suffers. So have a good scheduling system in place. The financial protocols, systems, follow-ups there. And then I think one that really gets overlooked is communication loops. And that goes both internally for your team and externally for patient communication to the team. So everyone on your team should know what is happening. And patients should never feel like they're repeating themselves. That just causes a breakdown of trust over time. And I think that gets overlooked because it's not like, oh, this is going to increase your production, or this is going to make treatment times more efficient. So that's not where our business mindset is. But once we realize that our team can communicate with each other and with our patient really effectively, I see practices thrive once that is nailed down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that it's really important. I love the loop. I talk about a feedback loop with teams all the time, like the constant feedback that you need to have and engage and enough with the growth plan once a year situation. But I think these systems are so incredibly important. And when you are only focusing on the exceptions are going to come. I don't care what department it is. The exceptions are going to happen. Yeah. Build the system on the standard, on the rule, right? Like, what is the standard of care? What is the standard in financials? What is the standard in new patient systems? Right. I think it's incredibly important that, and I say this all the time, especially when I was clinical consulting, they'd be like, well, what if a patient does this? I'm like, okay, but this happens how often? And they'd get in a 15-minute discussion. And I'm like, no. This happens twice a year. Right. It's going to happen. But what is the norm? Yeah. Let's figure out what that looks like,
100%. And even going into, when you think about patients coming into the office at the beginning of treatment, like, people come into the offices wanting to get braces, wanting to start treatment. And when we don't have good systems in place, or when we create obstacles, it's just because we've created options by our systems not being nailed down. And so if you want to eliminate obstacles, eliminate options and just streamline things.
It's too much. Sometimes too much is too much.
Yep. Overcomplicated.
Oh my gosh, I love this. Okay, so let's dabble into marketing a little bit. You are the marketing guru. Like let's get real. From an idea perspective, from a creation, you're incredibly creative.
Thank you.
I've seen it firsthand. The things that you have put in place and have done, and the fact that you are now working with a digital marketing company makes total sense to me because I've known you now for so long. Talk to me about, okay, so I also love marketing, but I don't teach marketing. I'll be the first one to say it. It's not for me. I have too much on my plate, but the creative side of marketing, like, I could geek out on that stuff. I love outside the box. I love it. Talk to me about, I can't wait for this. Okay. Talk to me about the authenticity of marketing.
Yeah. So you and I are both millennial moms. And I know you talk about this often in your approach. And And practices need to know, like, hey, you and we are their ideal demographic right now. I have 5 kids. My oldest is 12, my youngest is 6. Like, if an orthodontist sees me walking in the door, it's just like money signs above my head.
Totally.
And so in our marketing approach, I think there is a big shift that has happened that a lot of offices are now catching on to. Um, marketing can feel like a performance for many practices, but I have encouraged and I am constantly saying you have to be real in your approach to marketing. You have to be authentic because you are marketing to millennial moms now. Millennial moms grew up on the internet. We grew up on instant messenger. We grew up, hard coding our MySpace pages ourselves. We know the internet. And we know when something is authentic and when something is fake. And the old marketing approaches of, bubble letters with big, bold colors and arrows, like that is not going to work anymore. So what being authentic means in marketing to me is you have to tell the truth about your practice. You have to tell your story, talk about your people, talk about your values, talk about your quirks, and letting go of the need to feel like everything needs to be perfect that you put out there.
Yes.
We're not a curated feed world anymore. We're showing up in real time and sharing our day to day. So, patient moms, they can spot a stock photo or a generic caption from a mile away. They want to see real images. They want to see your real team. They want to see you celebrating the wins. They want to hear your story and build trust long before they even show up for that first appointment. And when your marketing matches that patient's in-office experience, conversion rates go through the roof, retention strengthens. So it's not about like a slick marketing approach with this wonderful brand guide. It's about showing up and being real. And again, that human, making yourself a human to your patients, to your audience. That is going to get you more new patients than any dollar off promotion ever will. 100%.
I agree.
So I always just say, like, if someone down the street from you is doing something that you really like and you're like, that's really cool, I want to do that, it must be working for them. Take a step back, and does that align with who you are? There's these orthodontists who are great and funny and hilarious and can create these TikToks and create these videos or hop on stories and share fun things, and it works for them. But then there's also ones that get on and you're like, oh, this is cringy. They are only doing this because someone told them to, or because their competitor's doing it. So I just say, like, just because it's working for somebody else does not mean it's going to work for you. You have to find out who you are and what story you want to tell and lean into that and give it your all. And don't try and
It's funny.
reinvent who you are.
Yeah, I remember when marketing in the industry became like big, right? From a social media perspective.
Yeah.
I remember having a study club discussion and people were talking about influencers, and people were like, what is an influencer? Like we have shifted so much in the last 10 years, just 10. And I would say since COVID, since 2020 when the world was on fire, I would say that is when the connection from the social perspective, by the way, I need to disclose, I am no marketing or social media guru, so I'm just making this up. But from my perspective, I have the authenticity that came after 2020 was massive. People wanted to see the real, the raw, the messy. That was really important to them. As a mother, I wanted to see that. I had a baby during COVID. I had a baby the year before COVID. And so I had a baby during COVID. And I was like, is this real? I can't connect. I'm already an isolated mom, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly what it is. You're isolated. You want to connect. You want these other people to be human too. And I know I use the example of digital marketing and social media when talking about being authentic, But marketing is so much more than our new patient folders anymore or our swag that we're handing out. As soon as a parent needs treatment for their child or for themselves, even if a doctor is recommending a certain orthodontist to their patient directly, millennial moms are going to turn into FBI agents in the snap of a finger, and they are going to get online. That is how they're making their decision. They're going to Google you. They're going to look at your website. They're going to read your reviews. They're going to see who's following you on Instagram. And the digital marketing footprint that you have is really the decision maker. Even if someone's recommended you, the friends recommended you, that final decision is made with your digital impression, your online presence. And so just making sure that's aligned and consistent with who you are. If you have this wonderful, awesome, bubbly presence on your website, bright, fun colors, and all these cool videos, and then they show up to your office and the energy is like at a zero, they're going to feel like they just got catfished to come to your office.
Yes. Do not catfish.
That's not what you want either. So just make sure that you are putting out a good representation of who you really are, not who you think you should be.
Well, and there's so much copycat marketing that you see too. Just, maybe the guy that's 2 miles away from me is doing this just as you said. And it's not authentic. There are so many really cool things that you can do out there that can be original and to you. If you're really into, I'm making this up, but if somebody's really into the soccer community, then that also is a part of who you are at your core. You know what I mean? I feel like authenticity goes past your practice.
Yeah. Well, so that's a great example that I use. We have a practice and the owner has a dog and he comes to the practice every day.
Love it.
And we have another practice in the same town and they're like, how can you, do marketing for both of us? And it's like, because you're not bringing your dog to your practice. Your dog's not printed on your t-shirts. You're not leaning into the dog. You are an adventurer. You go backpacking, you go camping. You are two different people and it is two different marketing approaches. And there is a patient there for everyone. You don't need all the patients. You can't have all the patients. You don't have the capacity for all the patients. It's finding the patients that are the best fit for your practice.
Yeah, I agree. And on top of the social footprint, the digital footprint, I have a niece who's 24 and she's an orthodontic assistant in California. And when she was going from general dentistry to orthodontics, she texted me and was like, do you know this practice? And she didn't send me their website. She sent me their Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, did you look at their site? She's like, no. She doesn't want to look at the website. She wants to look at what they're doing, how much fun they're having. Is this an authentic practice? What are they doing for their teams? Yep. It's not just patient. It's also internal team. It's also, we are struggling with hiring and retention and turnover. Right. They're looking at younger generations, even millennials, even me, right? I'm 40. I'm still looking at social. If I'm going to put my kids into a certain camp or I'm going to send them to, my son is doing the School of Rock. He loves music. I went to their website and immediately went to their socials.
Right. You can see the truest story there of what they're putting out.
And it's no joke. FBI agent is no joke. If a friend is dating somebody, I'm like, I'll find out everything. Don't you worry.
Give me 5. Yeah. And then I encourage, share your wins with your team on social media. It is so easy. Celebrate your team and put it on social media. And you will get way more engagement on any of that sort of thing than you will a before and after of a patient. 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Take the moment, celebrate your team, buy them the birthday cake, get them the Starbucks, do the stuff to make you feel appreciated.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay. So let's talk about, since we're talking about team, what are some common roadblocks that you have seen. I know you're laughing already. How can practices proactively eliminate some of these issues before they become issues? Talk to me about some things that you've seen and can kind of give people listening some tips.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, patients don't call your office or come in for an appointment unless they want to be a patient at that practice. So roadblocks do, like you said, silently erode a great practice. And so eliminate roadblocks by simplifying, eliminate obstacles by eliminating options. So a lot of roadblocks that I see often is a lack of follow through. And that can be as simple as missed calls at the front desk, unanswered text messages, broken tech like forms that don't submit. Those silently chip away at a patient's trust little by little. You know, a missed call might not be able to solidify them not becoming a patient or bringing their next sibling to your practice, but that plus something else could. Friction within the office, if that's friction in scheduling, friction in who's taking the next patient that's waiting, friction in any of those things that a patient can see that there's friction in a system or in a setup, a patient's going to disengage. And then confusion. If it's confusion around treatment, if it's confusion around financials, if it's confusion around scheduling, patients don't move forward if they're unsure of what is next or what they owe or what the plan is. So you have to be transparent and confident with communication, and that will solve any confusion. It's again, like you said, a fake it till you make it. Like if you're not exactly sure what the next step is for a patient, use your best judgment and follow through later. You know, if they're how long do I have to do X, Y, and Z? Use your best judgment and make that. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like that is going to just dissolve a patient's trust in you.
100%.
You know, this from the top down proactively, this comes down to you have to listen closely. You have to do some regular auditing, checking in, pivoting. And then the biggest thing is you have to empower your team to fix problems in real time without waiting for them to escalate. So if that's the doctor empowering their team to be able to make a call, to be able to make a decision, or a practice manager empowering their team to be like, yeah, we did have to override that thing. We did have to make that. But being able to empower is huge. And as soon as a team feels empowered, you're going to see them take ownership and be more accountable for their decisions. And so then you're going to eliminate some roadblocks from patients. You as a doctor or you as an office manager are going to have to make less of those phone calls to the patient's parents trying to explain or de-escalate a situation if you do allow your team to kind of own their own path.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I find that if you do not delegate and you do not empower, you will burn out and be full of exhaustion where it's like having children when you're so overstimulated. You're like, how many times I just saw this. I watch TikTok on Instagram because I'm 40. Let's get real. I don't have time for TikTok because I would probably be obsessed with it. But I'm like, she was like, she did like this old school clicker on how many times. Yes. Did you see it?
Yeah.
She's like, there was like, by the end of the day, her kids had said mom 248 times or something like that. Yeah. But that's the same thing that goes into a practice, whether you're a leader, what doesn't matter, a clinical lead, lab lead, office manager, doctor, associate, if you do not create clarity, you do not delegate and you do not empower, you will be putting out fires all day, every day, which means when you get in your car at the end of the day, by the end of the day, you'll be full of resentment, You will drive in your silent car without realizing you just hit 4 red stoplights because you are in a zone of zombie. You cannot function. And this brings me back to, as you know, Kayla, trust. In order to delegate and empower, you have to trust your team.
Yeah.
And if you don't trust your team and you don't allow them to make mistakes, because they're going to, if you do not allow that, you will burn out faster and faster and faster. You will create resentment. Your team will feel it. And then there comes the toxic culture. It's one
100%.
big vicious circle.
It's a cycle. Yeah. 100%. 100%. And I always tell teams too, we want to show up to our jobs as our best version of ourselves, but you also need to be able to work a day and be able to go home and still be the best version of yourself.
Absolutely.
Because that's what matters. Don't use your home as a time to, oh my gosh, recharge, unwind, to show up and do it all over again. If you are not being able to be the best version of yourself in professional setting and a home setting, if one is pulling from the other, you have to reevaluate. You have to take a step back. And, if you don't delegate, if you don't trust your team to be able to do things, you need to take a step back immediately. That is high risk right there.
And figure out why.
Yeah. Take the step back, figure out why, and make those changes. Make them. Just because you have been doing X, Y, or Z report for 5 years and it's complicated and I don't want to take the time to teach anybody, but I haven't been able to do it for the past 3 months because I've been busy doing X, Y, and Z. You got to offload it. You have to train somebody to do that. Or you have to train somebody to do the things that have been pulling you from that. You can't constantly be spread so thin that there's not enough of you to be able to show up how you need to show up for your team and for the practice.
Yeah. And you can pinpoint in practices those team members who are like, what else? Give me more. I would love to do this. There's the vacations, there's the non-doctor days, there's the admin days where we can really delegate some of this stuff. I mean, how many times have I heard practices over the years say, yeah, this is a non-doctor day, but I don't know what they're doing. What?
Doesn't that give you my heart starts beating fast. I'm like, whoa, hold on.
First of all, let's create, I'm an Asana nerd. I don't care if you have Asana or not, write it down. You create a list, you delegate. And I will say this too, even if you've delegated, listeners, listen to this, turn up the volume. Even if you've delegated, and they have done it wrong, give them a chance to do it right. 100%. Don't take it back. Give them a chance to do it again because you're like, oh, it's just easier when I do it.
Toxic trait. I do have that toxic trait.
Same. It's control. It's like, oh, I'll just do it myself. I mean, come on. I do that in motherhood, in wifehood. Is that a thing? I don't know. In business, in professionally, it's easier. But and I'm saying this to myself too. Delegate because it'll change your life.
And by not delegating, all you're doing is hindering your growth.
100%. And your team.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not doing anybody a favor by thinking you can do it all.
No. Kayla, you are a brilliant, magnificent human. Thank you so much for being here with me. This was so much fun. By the way, you're definitely going to be back. Let's get real. We could do these fun sessions all the time. I really appreciate your time. Neon Canvas, Kayla Hallen, you are a dream.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cassie, for having me. And I would love to do this anytime with you. It's like chatting with an old friend.
It is.
Thank you for joining me on The Bloom Effect, where we keep it real, keep it growing, and always keep it team first. If today's episode sparked something for you, an idea, a shift, or just a reminder that you're not alone, take a second and share it with your team or a fellow ortho leader. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss a convo. And if you're loving the show, leave a review. It helps more practices find us and join the movement. And if you're ready to bring this kind of energy into your practice, visit discovereverbloom.com to learn more about working together. Until next time, keep leading with heart, keep building with intention, and keep blooming right where you're planted.